I think that teaching in higher education is a specific and particular challenge in that very many of our experts, our academic experts who do the teaching, are not necessarily trained as teachers. So I think that it's very important that we recognise that they are responsible for the provision of the vast majority of the student experience. If we understand that institutionally, certainly in most of our higher education institutions, a significant amount of our income is derived from learning and teaching experience, from the teaching that we provide. And that very often, certainly at the first year or in the early stages of a student's life, they will be have their teaching provision provided for them by teachers who are maybe early career researchers or postgraduate students or even sessional staff. It's extremely important that we make sure that those staff who go into the classroom and provide that teaching experience for those students are sufficiently upskilled and informed to be able to ensure that the learning experience that they provide for those students is the absolute best that it can be. Most universities provide some form of professional development. For very many, it's more at the voluntary end. In fact, for most, it's more at the voluntary end. So you can, in theory and very often in practice, find yourself as a teacher in a higher education classroom who, although you've had the opportunity to get some professional development provided for you, you might not have engaged with it. One of the things that we've learned here in Australia, and we've certainly applied it at ACU within the context of my own institution, is that if you're going to expect somebody to perform as a teacher, and even more so to perform well as a teacher, you need to provide some kind of a framework that describes for them in objective terms what good teaching in higher education looks like, and then you need to provide for them ways and mechanisms by which they can get from where they are to where the institution believes that they need to be providing that quality higher education teaching experience. I think the Epigeum course comes at just the right time. I think that we are becoming increasingly aware in the sector and within individual institutions that it is now more important than ever that our teachers are appropriately professionally developed. And I think that we're also looking for good, sound, rigorously designed and well thought out resources that we can pick up and use that can help us to meet that training liability. I think one of the real advantages of a course such as the Epigeum one that can be delivered online are that it provides staff, it provides teachers with an opportunity to engage at a time and at a place that suits them and at their own pace. We know that our teachers are extremely busy. They just don't have time to carve out 2 or 3 hours to come to a workshop. So I think it's both respectful and important that we provide resources to them in the time and at the place when they can access it and use it at for themselves. I particularly wanted to be involved in this new program because I think it's important. I think it's important that we do provide for our teachers resources that help them to improve the quality of the teaching that they provide. The main assets from joining a collaboration such as this are the opportunity to engage initially with colleagues from other institutions, the opportunity to shape a resource. And so whilst we understand that a certain amount of higher education teaching is fairly generic, there are also institutional contexts. I think it's really useful to be engaged at the early stages of understanding and shaping a product so that you can start again from the early stages of thinking about how that final product will be implemented in the context of your institution, how can you best use it in your institution, and really how can you use it to drive improvements in teaching that you're expecting.